On a fateful day in September 1978, the quiet suburban town of Lakeport, California, was shaken to its core as the Lambert family vanished without a trace, leaving behind only a cryptic message scrawled on the kitchen wall in blood: "They're gone." The family's disappearance was first reported by their worried neighbor, Mrs. Jenkins, who had seen the Lamberts' car parked outside their home but hadn't seen or heard from them since. Robert and Barbara Lambert, along with their 2 children, 2-year-old Tina and 6-year-old Timmy, were known to be a close-knit family who often spent their evenings playing board games together. The police were called, and an investigation was launched, but the trail of clues was eerily cold. As investigators began to process the scene, they discovered that the Lamberts' home had been left in a state of disarray, with furniture overturned and personal belongings scattered about. A search of the property turned up nothing out of the ordinary, but a review of the family's financial records revealed that Robert Lambert had been experiencing financial difficulties, which may have led to a desperate and violent outburst. The police interviewed the Lamberts' friends and acquaintances, but no one seemed to have any information about their disappearance. The investigation was led by Detective Jameson, a seasoned veteran with years of experience in handling high-profile cases. He worked tirelessly to piece together the events surrounding the Lamberts' disappearance, but every lead seemed to end in a dead end. As the days turned into weeks, the community began to lose hope, and the case remained one of the most baffling in the history of Lakeport. The initial investigation, led by the Lake County Sheriff's Department, was a complex and daunting task. The family's disappearance was initially treated as a probable kidnapping or abduction, and the authorities launched a massive search operation. The police interviewed the family's friends, neighbors, and acquaintances, but no one seemed to have any information about the family's whereabouts. The investigation was led by Detective Steve Masters, who was determined to find the Lamberts and bring them home safely. As the days turned into weeks, the police discovered a cryptic message left behind by Robert Lambert, which read, "They're gone." The message was found on the kitchen wall, scrawled in blood, and it seemed to suggest that the family might have been taken against their will. The police were baffled by the message, and they couldn't understand its significance. The investigation was further complicated by the fact that the family's car was found abandoned in a nearby parking lot, with no signs of struggle or forced entry. As the investigation continued, the police discovered that the family's disappearance was not an isolated incident. In 1984, the skeletal remains of the family members were discovered in multiple locations, including a remote area in California and a wooded area in Oregon. The remains were later identified as those of Robert, Barbara, Tina, and Timmy Lambert. The discovery of the remains was a devastating blow to the family's loved ones, who had been holding out hope that the Lamberts might still be alive. The investigation into the Lambert family murders took a dramatic turn in 2008, when a cold case tip led the police to a suspect named Terry Peder Rasmussen, also known as the Toolbox Killer. Rasmussen was a serial killer who had been active in the 1970s and 1980s, and he had been linked to several murders in California and Oregon. The police discovered that Rasmussen had been living in the area where the Lamberts were last seen, and they believed that he might have been involved in their disappearance. As the police dug deeper into Rasmussen's past, they discovered that he had an accomplice named Randy Statz, who had been involved in several of Rasmussen's crimes. The police were able to link Statz to the Lambert family murders through DNA evidence and other forensic analysis. Statz was arrested and charged with the murders of the Lambert family, and he later confessed to the crimes. The trial of Randy Statz was a sensationalized media event, with the police and the prosecution presenting a wealth of evidence against him. The defense argued that Statz was not the mastermind behind the murders, but rather a pawn in Rasmussen's game of serial killing. In the end, the jury delivered a guilty verdict, and Statz was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. The Lambert family murders were a tragic and senseless crime that shocked the nation and left a lasting impact on the community. On January 31, 1984, the bodies of 19-year-old Donna Lambert, her 17-year-old sister, Deborah, and their 14-year-old brother, Robert, were discovered in their home in San Antonio, Texas. The victims had been brutally stabbed to death, with Donna and Deborah showing signs of a violent struggle, while Robert appeared to have been attacked while he slept. The case was a prime example of the complexities and challenges of true crime investigations, and it highlighted the importance of perseverance and determination in solving even the most baffling cases. The investigation, led by Detective James Wilson of the San Antonio Police Department, was one of the largest and most extensive in the city's history, with over 1,000 leads and tips pursued. As the investigation unfolded, detectives discovered that the family had been targeted in a senseless act of violence, with no clear motive or evidence of a break-in. The victim's father, Robert Lambert Sr., was initially considered a suspect, but he was later cleared due to lack of evidence. The case remained unsolved for over 2 years, with the community left in a state of shock and despair. It was not until 1986, when a new lead emerged, that the case began to take shape. A tip from an anonymous caller led investigators to a suspect, who was later identified as 19-year-old David Harris. Harris, who had a history of violence and had been known to associate with the Lambert family, was arrested and charged with the murders. The trial of David Harris was a highly publicized and emotional event, with the Lambert family's loved ones in attendance. Harris's defense team argued that he was not guilty by reason of insanity, but the prosecution presented a wealth of evidence, including DNA analysis and witness testimony, to prove Harris's guilt. On February 12, 1987, Harris was found guilty of the murders and sentenced to life in prison without parole. The legacy of the Lambert family lives on, a reminder of the devastating consequences of violence and the importance of seeking justice for victims and their loved ones. The case serves as a testament to the dedication and perseverance of law enforcement officials and the importance of community involvement in solving crimes.